A citizens petition aimed at tackling the challenge of oversized houses in Needham is slated for a vote at the annual town meeting in May. Joe Matthews, a town meeting member representing Precinct I, has put forth a proposal to curtail the size of new constructions. Municipal producer Yu Xiaoyuan has the report.
The proposed amendment utilizes the zoning metric known as floor area ratio, or FAR, which calculates the total floor area of a building divided by the total lot area. FAR was first introduced for houses in Needham in 2017 when town meeting adopted FAR requirements for single-resident B district, along with 7 other amendments relating to regulations on height setbacks and lot coverage.
SRB, for people who aren't aware, is basically all of the main single houses that you see around downtown. It's the vast majority of lots in Needham, and it's the ones that most people think about when they think about people growing up in Needham or living in Needham.
Matthews stated the 2017 zoning changes have not effectively halted the trend of oversized dwellings.
I think that most people would agree, and my data, the way that I look at it through my analysis, is that there's basically no impact.
He lamented the consequences of these sizable structures, noting their role in the removal of trees and alteration of a neighborhood's character. Furthermore, he highlighted their contribution to the worsening housing affordability crisis.
The ability to build these large houses distorts the housing market in a very significant way, because essentially you put end users of houses, basically, families who want to move into Needham and live in a house as is or with minor renovations. You put them in direct competition with developers and builders.
Following the 2017 town meeting, the zoning bylaw mandates for lots less than 12,000 square feet, the combined square footage of the first and second floors should not exceed 3,800, excluding attics and basement space. However, Matthews pointed out over time, new constructions have been utilizing second and half-story attics as well as basements for habitable living space.
When you add together, you get a real estate listing that says this house is 6,100 square feet, even though the lot is only maybe 10,117 square feet. Floor space in Needham is simply too valuable at this point and in this market to not be finished or used. And I think a lot of people who were voting at that time may not have been familiar with that concept, because a lot of houses from back in the 70s, 60s, 50s, they didn't. They're old, kind of dark places with cobwebs and stuff.
Therefore, in Matthews' zoning amendment petition, he advocates for including attic and basement space in the floor area calculation. Last summer, he presented his proposal to the planning board, who agreed to evaluate the recommendation and possibly propose bylaw changes by the 2025 fall town meeting. In a separate interview with the Needham Channel News, Planning Board Chair Adam Block stated the board's priorities this year are focused on the solar energy system bylaw, zoning changes for the Needham Housing Authority Linden Chamber Complex, and how to comply with the MBTA communities laws. While acknowledging large houses are a valid concern, he emphasized the need for a thorough study.
We need time to thoroughly and properly consider the best option and utilize all of the robust tools that we have in our toolbox, instead of just limiting to one without really understanding what adverse impacts this will have on private property rights, on home values for our, in particular, perhaps our seniors that may be selling their homes, and also on what the residential tax burden will be. I will look for the planning board to create a new committee so we can study this. I'm not looking at a committee to defer action and to punt this for 10 years. We may need to engage a couple of different consultants, but I'm looking to do this responsibly in a fairly short period of time, and in hopefully 12 months at most come back to town meeting with a proposal that addresses his underlying concern that others we all have.
However, Matthews remains skeptical, expressing doubts about the proposed timeline and the effectiveness of the future committee in addressing the issue.
I mean, in 2014, they started this large house review committee. They had planning board, select board, realtors, developers, citizens involvement. They spent 3 years. They had a whole big town meeting session on it. There was a big fanfare, a lot of patting on the back. We made some changes. Literally nothing happened. And so now people are saying, well, we should wait and do the same process again and hope that change will happen. And I'm just not confident.
Matthews acknowledged solving the issue would require the use of additional zoning metrics, but he believes action must be taken now.
So this is just a way to kind of get the process started and also to gauge interest. I mean, we don't really have polling on this, so it'll be very interesting to see how people feel when we're all together at Powers Hall.
The planning board will host a hearing on the petition before the town meeting vote. For Needham Channel News, I'm Yu Xiaoyuan.